Welcome to Substance Painter tutorial on how to texture your old person models. So the beginning is, as usual, we are loading our low resolution model in 4K. This PBR metallic roughness is fine. And there's my low resolution model. I click OK. Right away, I'm gonna go ahead and bake out these textures just as always. I'm going to select my high definition mesh, so my high res that I exported from ZBrush. I'm gonna press open, select 4K again here, and say bake selected textures. Once the textures are done baking, I'm gonna click return to painting mode, and there we have our beautiful normal data from 4 million polygons onto a couple thousand polygons. So that's really great. You can see all the pores. It's quite good quality. So today we're going to work on the skin texture. So the way we work on the skin texture is we build it from the bottom up. So we're gonna start with actually what's underneath the skin, right? So we're gonna start with a layer of literal blood, and then build our way up to the top of the skin and then over the skin. So one thing that is very important in this process is to look at reference images. So you look at your references of your of the thing you're modeling, the person you're modeling. You can see all the different types of colors that are in skin. So there's actually, you know, skin is very, very complex. So there's many different freckles, colors, color variations, blue, purple, yellow, all that. So in order to texture skin, you have to make a lot of layers. So this is what we're going to do today, but we're going to do it kind of a little bit simplified version of that. I'm going to link a couple tutorials that really go in depth with this on YouTube that you can look at if you want to, but just what I show you is going to be enough for you to kind of understand what I mean. So really spend some time experimenting with the tools that I teach you. So yeah, well, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna have this pulled up on a different screen. So I'm gonna be looking at my references, and yeah, let's get started. So first thing, I'm gonna delete this layer, this base layer that we have, and I'm gonna create a fill layer. And I want just the color and the height. So I'm gonna click off everything else. So the color and the height. Our base color is going to be something like this. Kind of a pretty fleshy red. And, sorry, not height, but roughness. So, and we're gonna bring up our roughness just a touch so that, you know, it's sort of rougher than being shiny, but still has a little bit of reflectivity, kind of like, you know, the base of the skin. So cool. So this is our very, very base layer. What we're gonna do is we're gonna name it base layer, and I'm gonna go ahead and create another layer that is only gonna have color data. So a cool thing, instead of clicking on all these to disable these maps, you can just click option and click on color. So that's gonna disable everything else but color. So this color is gonna be a more darker red. I already have these color values from when I experimented with this earlier, but you guys feel free to find your own kind of darker red and stuff. It does not have to be exact same, right? So, and what we're basically going to be doing here is we're going to be adding underskin blemishes basically here. So we're going to use many different kind of fill generative layers to play around and create blemishes. So I'm going to add a black mask, and then I'm going to add a fill layer. And for this fill layer, I'm going to be adding a texture into this grayscale slot. So let's go to textures, and I have this one picked out. So now you can see, because our UVs weren't as good, you can see that it's kind of showing here. It's all stretched. So luckily we can actually do triplanar projection, which kind of projects onto the model instead of onto the UVs. Like, so that's kind of working better for us in this case. So yeah, so we can see here's our kind of first blemishes that show, and we can obviously see how much of them we want to see. So this is our first fill layer, right? And we can always adjust the opacity of it if we don't want to have it too strong, and the blending mode, which we're gonna get to a little bit later. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add another fill layer. So I'm right clicking on here, add fill, and I'm gonna add this moisture noise, right? Same thing. I'm gonna say triplanar projection, and you can see it's a touch different. So this one is a lot more subtle than the previous one. One thing is that our bottom layer is not exposed anymore, so we need to change the blending mode to screen. So now we can see both of our layers, and I'm constantly adjusting the light and seeing how it looks. And for this one, I'm most likely actually lower the opacity quite a bit, right? Like sort of like this, and maybe this one as well, lower the opacity a little. All right, I'm gonna add yet another fill layer. So right click, add fill, and for this one we're gonna do marble veins. So we have two to choose from. I'm going to choose this for now and change this to triplanar projection, and kind of similarly to what we've done before. Nice, that looks good. That adds, like, you know, a little bit of detail again. Change the blending mode to screen, and now it's all kind of overlaid in there. Another fill layer we could add is the same layer we actually added on our mug. It's the cells layer, and you can choose which one you'd like to add. I think I'm gonna add our favorite cells 3. Right, this is just, again, a subtle thing that's gonna, at the end, make a difference. So you can see them just barely through everything else, right? It just kind of adds to our overall feel, right? And here I'm seeing this, I'm gonna, I think, make a little less visible. And maybe this moisture noise, I'm gonna isolate it to see what it looks like. Make it 100%. Maybe I will do a little bit of, a little less of it. A little more isolated instead of having it as this like cloudy thing. So next we're going to add another fill layer, and this is going to be our purple layer. Before I do that, I'm going to say under skin blemishes, let's say, for this layer, and this layer is gonna be purple. So purple, we're gonna say option, click on color, select color. So this is the purple color I have decided to go with. And same thing, add black mask. And this time we're gonna add a paint layer. So instead of adding a fill layer, we're gonna add a paint layer. And we're gonna go over here to brushes, and I'm gonna say dirt. And I'm gonna be painting with this Dirt 1 brush that looks like this. So I'm gonna take my stylus now, and here we can play with flow, right? So again, if the flow, the lower the flow, the less opacity you are drawing on, right? And when you redraw, that's when it kind of becomes more and more pronounced, right? And obviously size is smaller too. So vary these two things once in a while, right? To kind of give yourself a little bit of, again, variability. So the purple color goes underneath the eyes and around the mouth, kind of. I'm gonna put some over here by the nose as well. Here I'm deciding to actually take away from this, so I'm gonna go scroll down there and say that I want to actually paint with the opposite. So instead of painting white, I'm gonna paint black. I'm gonna return back. Another cool thing is you can actually check up here material. If you say base color, you can see just your colors, just the colors that you're laying down instead of, you know, all the materials. So it's kind of helpful sometimes to just see that. So yeah, just a little tip. All right, after this, we are going to actually start laying down our skin color. So same thing, fill layer, skin base. So, but instead of just selecting a skin color and just laying it over, we're going to hand paint it, which is really cool. This is the skin color I've chosen, and yeah, we're gonna add a black mask, and with variations of different brushes. So I'm gonna use this dirt brush, I'm gonna use this dirt spots brush, and I'm gonna vary my flow and my size, and I'm just gonna be painting the skin. So I'm gonna speed up this process at some point. I'm gonna start off slow, then speed up, and then check back with you once I'm done. So I'm gonna double click here, use this dirt spots brush first. Again, I'm gonna lower the flow, bring the size up, and just start painting. Again, we're just painting kind of everywhere at the same time, right? And we can control how much of this underneath the skin stuff we want to show at which time. So we're really in control here. And you can see as long, like the longer you start working on this, the more everything's gonna kind of come together and look more cohesive. So I'm gonna do a layer of this dirt spots brush, and then I'm gonna do a layer of this Dirt 1 brush. Alright, I think I'm done with this brush for now. So the way I can check if I have kind of consistent coverage is by going back to this base color. And, you know, I can see where I've laid more and where I've laid less color, and kind of some of it has been pretty intentional, and sometimes I can, you know, add a little bit more if I need to somewhere to mix the color more. So still looks like Sir Ian is suffering from radiation burns, but I'm gonna go ahead and add another layer with a different brush to this. So I'm gonna say add paint. I'm gonna click on this Dirt 1 brush, and now I'm going to repeat the same process that I did earlier, just with this Dirt 1 brush. So this brush is gonna make a lot more solid kind of marks, right? And also I'm gonna make sure I turn my flow down so that I can control the opacity as I'm laying on the colors. Alright, I think I'm done with the skin base. So you can see we've definitely gone a long ways. If we remove these paint layers, we can see that. So definitely still a lot of red showing through, and again, this is something you can just go in, depending on who you're modeling, you can add or subtract some more skin color. But for now, we're gonna move on to skin blemishes. So the skin blemishes that we're gonna do is sun damage. That's what it's gonna be called. So same thing, option, just take out the base color. And base color for this, we're kind of picking a dark brown color.